Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With the latest WWE edition of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are here just 24 hours after WWE Clash in Paris to break down everything that happened on WWE television over the last week. At the beginning of today's show, we will take a brief second look at WWE Clash in Paris, but because the time between the end of that show and the start of Monday Night Raw was so short, not only does it not make that much sense to do a second dive into the program, we didn't have a lot of time to rewatch the show. So Silver King got a few matches in. I believe Vintage did as well, and we will discuss those off the top. But there is an absolute ton to talk about. Suddenly, after, spoiler alert, I'll say it right off the top of the show, one of the best episodes of wrestling television all year, Monday night on Raw. Now, we're going to get to that momentarily. As we get into the show, we got to take care of a little business with the Silver King reminding you that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
is all about Defy.
So please, folks,
stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, Vintage Chris Vanini, and the Getting Over Wrestling podcast in its entirety. Head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Also, do not forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast across Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. On Twitter and Blue Sky, you get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights, all of that good stuff. You can also send in questions and comments for the show that we will do our best to integrate into the program. And by the way, if you don't have social media, you can email us those same questions and comments, gettingoverpod@gmail.com. But if you subscribe to us on YouTube, not only do you get full-length audio episodes, you get full-length video interviews that we conduct here at Getting Over, all on our YouTube channel. So across the board, find us on social media at Getting Overcast. So with that said, let's bring Chris into the show. As I mentioned, we're going to kick this off with a WWE Clash in Paris second look. But again, as I already noted, this was basically the quickest turnaround we've ever had between WWE, PLE, and then Monday Night Raw. Because there have been shows on Sundays previously, like Night 2 of SummerSlam and WrestleMania, but you still get like a full 24 hours until the next show begins. And technically that's true when it comes to Clash in Paris and Raw airing at 2 p.m. Eastern. But the end of the night is the end of the night. So this show basically started 6 hours earlier than any other Raw would coming out of a PLE. And I know that neither Chris nor I had the time required to watch the show from start to finish and really dig as deep as we normally would in this case. So Chris, like I said, welcome to the show. I figured I would just go match by match with a couple notes that I was able to conjure from my rewatch while we were working on Monday, and then we can kind of get into the rest of the show. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. So Roman Reigns, Bronson Reed, 4 stars A-. I'm sticking with that. It was really cool how the crowd all acknowledged at the first drum beat of Reigns' entrance. I will repeat, OTC 1, it's just idiotic. It's second only to YTC, which was the dumbest of all time. Just call the dude OTC. Like, people chant it. You don't need to go further than that. This is going to wind up being, in my opinion, one of the most underrated matches of the entire year. The slow pace early was classic WWE. I thought the extended finish was exceptional. Reigns looked like $1,000,000. He's as trim and toned as he has been at any point in his wrestling life, surely preparing himself for the movie, the Street Fighter filming, but still, the dude was ripped. Something that went unnoticed by you, Vintage, is that Paul Heyman was wearing brown shoes with a black suit. It was not navy. That's a huge faux pas. Paul dresses incredibly well, but this was not it. And I got to give you a demerit because that's something you should have noticed as our fashion expert here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast.
Well, I'll say then he absolutely deserved to be put in that guillotine then.
He did.
Maybe that's why Roman did it. That makes a lot of sense. especially coming out into Raw, which we'll get into, but at the time, the Heyman attack seemed very strange and
Mhm.
like kind of random. And even actually, I'd forgotten this. I don't know if I don't think I mentioned this on the show, but on the pre-show for WWE, they played a clip of Roman on Stephanie's podcast, and he talked about how he loved Paul Heyman, but also that he doesn't like him right now. So it's kind of interesting to show that. And then Roman attacks him on the show, and I was like, why do a guillotine instead of just like punch? Like no one's. I don't know if anyone's ever put Paul Heyman in a submission before. And so the whole thing just felt a little weird. Then it sets up the rest of the attack, and I get that. But it does feel like this was something that will write Heyman off of TV for a bit, which we'll get into on Raw. But the Roman on Paul part, I don't think we talked about enough. It's like pretty significant for him to attack Paul Heyman and do it in the vicious way that the original Tribal Chief did, to, you know, put people to sleep and all of that when he first went heel.
Yeah, I mean, the guillotine again in Paris, in France, was perfect, even if it wasn't purposeful. And I actually don't have this written to the show, so I'll just say it now. On Raw Monday night, they explained that Heyman's injury is a bruised larynx, so he can't speak. Which, if he can't speak, he basically has no necessity on television. So it's pretty smart the way they did it. But Paul Heyman, black suit, brown shoes. I'm sorry, man, you're normally stylish. In this case, no. Also, Braun Breaker's selling of the spear on Reigns was awesome. The dude looked psychotic upon landing, and Reed came across like an absolute monster in the post-match. I actually realized I think he's lost a good 20 to 30 pounds from when he returned to WWE. I really loved the post-match watching this back. It hit every single note that I wanted it to. Hip O Crit at MyTruth22 wrote it, and he said, Roman Reigns is the most complete superstar in WWE history. Maybe not the greatest, but most complete in every category a professional wrestler can check. This is a really interesting conversation topic that we don't really have time to fully get into today. At first blush, he's probably better bell to bell, wrestler-wise and as an in-ring storyteller, than like Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena. But all of those guys were far better promos, especially Cena and Rock. Hogan, Austin, and Rock were all better characters, even if they had less depth. And Rock and Cena, they've had some incredible wrestling matches bell to bell in their own right. So I'm not saying Reigns is not the most complete, but it's certainly not a no-brainer. That said, I do believe he belongs in that conversation.
So here's the thing with Roman. Like, he always has a good match. Like, he never has a bad one. He always delivers in these biggest moments. Mm-hmm. But if I was to just ask you, what are the 3 greatest Roman wrestling matches of his career? Like, you'd really have to think for a minute.
I could give you an answer, but so I know you were just pontificating. I could give you an answer, but I don't know that it would be the correct answer.
Like, and one of them is probably the 6-man with the Shield and the Wyatts. And so it's like, what are Roman has these iconic moments, you know, losing to Cody, beating Cody, McIntyre clash, like all these things. But it's really the moment that we remember more than like the match. Like, I think Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kurt Angle at SummerSlam 2001 is the greatest SummerSlam match of all time. There's rarely a time when I'm going back to watch a Roman Reigns match as opposed to a moment in that match. Maybe it's his entrance, maybe it's the finish. Mm-hmm. But the bell to bell, it's always really good. It never feels like excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you that his greatest matches, this is just off the top of my head, not really thinking about it. The 4-way at SummerSlam with Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, and Samoa Joe. The triple threat at WrestleMania literally this year with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. WrestleMania 40 main event with Cody Rhodes.
Yes, but all of those had several other people involved. And it wasn't just one-on-one the whole way.
That's true.
Which is kind of the point.
His other best,
it's not that which is in Roman's great. Like, his WrestleMania 38 was bad with Brock, but he's had other really good matches with Brock. The 31 match with Brock was great. But then Seth Rollins
the SummerSlam match was incredible, but it was a stipulation. Yeah. And people got involved. Yeah.
And we remember that for the tractor, you know? So it's right. Like, it's kind of a weird spot where, like, he's absolutely very good. It's just hard to remember something that's like above that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think those necessarily detract the fact that people were involved in one way or another. The Roman Reigns Sami Zayn match was incredible from was it Elimination Chamber in Montreal? That was?
Yes.
I mean, that was, I think he won that clean, if memory serves.
I think so.
But yeah, I mean, that's just like off the top. And again, that's why I'm saying the commenter here, I'm not saying he's wrong, but it's not a blow away easy yes by any means. It's a conversation topic. And we spent longer on it than we were supposed to, so that's fine. Let's keep going here. World Heavyweight Championship, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, LA Knight, Jey Uso, staying with 4 stars, A-. I thought this was a great match, but somewhat doomed based on its placement on the card. I don't have any additional notes for it. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about it?
No, not particularly.
John Cena, Logan Paul, 4.25 stars, A. The crowd was incredible for this match, like truly incredible. Not quite Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles last year or Hulk Hogan, The Rock, but really, really close. Speaking of AJ, the pop for the Styles clash that Cena did here was absurd. I got to thinking, if Cena forced Logan to tap out via STF after hitting the roll through AA at the end of the match, humbling him, forcing him to show respect, that probably would have been a better ending than the haymaker and extra AA, which I maintain was Logan getting way too much. It was completely unnecessary, but the match was awesome. I do wonder whether this is the best 1-2 punch of wrestling in Cena's entire career, coming out of Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam and then Logan Paul here. I'm not saying that this was at that level. I'm saying as a 1-2 punch, back-to-back pay-per-view premium live event matches, it's possible these are the best 2 consecutive matches that Cena's ever had.
Maybe. I would need to see what was around the 2011 Punk match as well. But I thought something I didn't quite catch the first time around until I saw highlights. When he does the 5-knuckle shuffle, the entire crowd doing the same thing with their hand, that was so cool.
It was.
That was a really cool moment from me. Like you mentioned, them putting the ones up right away. Like, it's not just that they're cheering and chanting, it's they're doing hand motions and stuff that just continue to make a great scene.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, if WWE does not give France an annual PLE, which I could see them not doing because they want to spread the wealth a little bit, they at least need to get a Raw and SmackDown back-to-back. Like, they were incredible, dude.
So we know they're going back there around Royal Rumble.
They're not going to France.
But they're not going to France. I saw Germany on there a bit.
England.
So,
yeah. So there you go. Intercontinental Championship, Becky Lynch against Nikki Bella, 2.25 stars C. What a freaking disappointment. I didn't even rewatch it. I didn't have time, and I didn't want to honestly put myself through that. WWE Tag Team Championship, Wyatt 6 against, who was it? Oh, yeah. WWE Tag Team Championship, Wyatt 6 against the Street Profits, 3.25 stars and a B. No additional notes here. Milwaukee mic drop at M. Batzler wrote him. He said, when are the rest of the Wyatt 6 going to wrestle? So the one who actually sticks out to me answering this question is Nikki Cross. She's extremely talented. SmackDown badly needs bodies in the women's midcard, yet she doesn't wrestle. I'm okay with Bo Dallas not wrestling regularly. He's the leader. And I'm okay with Eric Rowan not wrestling regularly. He's the muscle, basically, right? And when you put him in matches, he generally needs to dominate. So I can excuse that. But Nikki should be wrestling. To your point, though, they all should be, which is why this group should be on Raw, a longer show.
Yeah, and to that point, like, the tag team is the only thing the Wyatts are doing. So it's weird to not have your top people in it. Like, the Judgment Day has tag team titles, but they also have people doing, like, involved in other things. But the Wyatts' whole thing is around the tag team division, and the people who have the tag team titles are the 2 lowest people among the 4 men in the group. So that feels a little bit weird. One thing I wanted to shout out here, Montez, when he does the frog splash and Gacy rolls away from it, they stayed on the hard cam for the whole thing. So you saw him jump up, you saw how high he got, and you saw him hit the ground, and it made it look impressive. Other than Gacy rolling away, it kind of made him look dumb. But shout out to that. I always complain that they always shoot those things below, and then you never kind of get the context. I like that they stuck with the hard cam, so good for them.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's a really good point. Sheamus against Rusev, good old-fashioned Donnybrook, 4.25 stars and an A. Not changing my grade. In fact, I'm not changing any of my grades, but I completely agree with what Vintage said on the instant analysis. This was clearly the match of the night. Like, no doubt about it on rewatch. Maybe it's because of the slog that came before it, and I was just kind of like, oh man, I'm that was happening, and other stuff was happening too in terms of sports. I was working at the same time, but rewatching this, I watched this thing front to back, bell to bell. It was the match of the night. Cena Logan was more of an extended moment. This was the best match. Sheamus does this thing now where he's all sweaty, but he goes to the fans for a big hug during his matches. It's really funny to me. I love that he does it. And I completely missed this live, but Wade Barrett made a really sly AEW reference. So you have Rusev, formerly Miro, doing the accolade on the whiskey barrels, right? And Wade goes, it really is game over for Sheamus. That was the name of Miro's finisher in AEW. And that brings me to this question, Chris. Is Wade Barrett right now, September 2nd, the front runner for announcer of the year in the 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka
the Meaties? Maybe it, like, Joe Tessitore wasn't eligible really last year because he came in at the end of the year.
Right.
I thought it was going to be Tess for this year. It's him and Tessitore together, I think, are neck and neck. I'd probably give it to Barrett right now. I'm with you on that. Beginning of the show, early on, Wade says something in French, and Michael Cole goes, I thought you only speak French when you're drunk. And Barrett goes, maybe I'm drunk right now, Cole. It's like he's having great back and forth with his various play-by-play counterparts, and it's really good.
So that's the thing, right? It's like, okay, Tess is definitely going to be nominated. Like, there's zero question about that. But Wade works with Tess, and he also works with Cole on some PLEs and European events and things that Tess isn't able to do. And it's like, is that the difference maker when it comes down to the awards end of year? And I'm not saying that, Tess and Wade are the only two legitimate nominees. There's going to be others. That's why we do voting. And that's why everyone else gets the opportunity to vote besides you and I. But man, Wade is just crushing it with these one-liners, his references, facts that he brings into matches. He's really emerged in 2025. He's always been really good, but he's emerged in 2025. There's no question. Now, we went deep on our WWE Clash in Paris instant analysis, and I feel like we gave you a pretty decent second look right now. So for brevity's sake, we're going to go without a new segment on this edition of Getting Over. As for an overview of WWE TV this week, I don't want to spoil too much. SmackDown was basically, for me, the same poorly conceptualized show with a bit better decision-making in front of a fantastic crowd. Monday Night Raw was one of the best wrestling TV shows of the entire year. I believe it was the longest Raw since the debut on Netflix, January 6th. This was 2 hours, 45 minutes. There was only one true flaw on the show, which we will get to. All 5 matches delivered to different degrees. The women got more storytelling than the men. And the segment that's going to lead our breakdown was not only among the best of the year, it was among the best of one person's entire career. So I thought this was a phenomenal, pun intended, show, Monday Night in Paris, in basically all facets.
Phenomenal. Well, they put it in the same arena, so it was like bigger than a normal arena, not like football stadium, baseball stadium quite, but they put on, that quality of show for that quality of an arena. It was fantastic. I cannot wait to talk about it.
I would say let's not waste any more time doing so, but I do need to remind you that here at Getting Over,
I happen to love the number 5.
And I hope you do as well, because for $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Again, that is buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. We're a free show. We're an ad-free show, and we would greatly appreciate your financial support. So with that out of the way, let's get to the full breakdown of SmackDown and Raw going into and coming out of WWE Clash in Paris. And we're going to kick it off, as we always do, by sliding into The main event.
This is the main event.
Raw opened with CM Punk standing at the gated loading dock entrance of the stadium, refusing to budge when Adam Pearce suggested he relax a bit, saying it was the only way into or out of the facility, and he wasn't going to miss Seth Rollins when he arrived. Jey Uso then got his full entrance toned down, wearing all black, refusing an encore performance, despite literally the entire crowd chanting for it. Ironically, it's the first and probably only time it would have been great to do this. Jay said hindsight says that he probably shouldn't have helped Roman Reigns in the opening match because it cost him, but he doesn't play about family. Uso said he wanted to take out the Vision one by one. That let out LA Knight, calling himself and all the faces in that match losers, before criticizing Jay for stopping the table spot, preventing his elbow drop into the announce table, and then breaking up his BFT cover. All big-time facts. This was a match-long story on Sunday, and I feel like we didn't necessarily do a good job. We mentioned the spots, but we didn't necessarily explain how they were all Jay costing LA. So I'm glad he pointed that out here. The Braun Brawns came out with Knight wondering if they can speak for themselves given Heyman was gone. Breakker spoke first, saying Heyman is not there to hold them back. They put Reigns in the hospital and would do the same to them. Reigns chants, asshole chants for Breakker, even F.U. Bronson chants for Reed when he demanded acknowledgement, real loud, forcing pauses. The heels challenged. Reed popped Uso, saying all yeet, no skeet, which popped me as well. I'm kind of surprised he got away with saying that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and then Knight agreed that, hey, we can handle our beef another time. Let's go at these guys. The crowd was super hot for all four of them, and deservingly so. A side benefit to Heyman being taken out is the Braun Brawns getting additional mic time. They get to further flesh out their characters and their personalities. Both of them acquitted themselves quite well here. There were no major standout lines or anything like that, but they also didn't stumble. There were no low talking moments. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, and the crowd completely bought both of them, which is what's most important. What hit for me in the segment was Knight going at Uso unabated. He was right in his face. He was legitimately angry. He wasn't holding back like a good guy normally would. For a second, I thought, are they turning LA Knight heel? Like, I thought that was transpiring right in front of our eyes. And it's possible it still does happen in the near future. But really, this was just LA being confident, standing up for himself and saying, hey, dude, you may be a good guy. I may be a good guy, but you screwed me over 3 different times. This was a way more successful segment than I thought it was going to be when Jay came out by himself and started speaking.
This was fantastic in so many ways. And no, I don't think LA Knight's going to turn heel. He's incredibly over babyface. This was in character for him. The same way he went at Punk for costing him. He technically is a good guy, but he doesn't view himself as this or that, or we're teaming up because of whatever. He's looking out for himself, and he's getting pissed at these people who are impacting him, whether they be face or heel. So going right at Jay is totally in line with what he was doing with Punk. And I thought he was great. I thought the two of them were really good together. It also follows up on what I mentioned on the instant analysis about LA Knight going at Jey Uso in the pre-show interview with Jackie Redmond,
right,
as well. So it's possible, without turning heel, maybe these two continue to do some stuff together. Going to the beginning of this, CM Punk saying, "I'm here. This is the only place people can enter the building." What are you talking about? You're in a sports arena. How did all of the thousands and tens of thousands of fans get in? I couldn't believe they used that line.
I do agree with that, but I think he was saying like talent. Like, this is the way talent gets into the building.
Yeah, but what's to stop Seth Rollins from entering in any other way? Like,
nothing.
It was a bizarre line to use. Jay and LA Knight, credit to both of them, really limping and showing the wear and tear from the night prior. LA Knight he does that walk with holding the mic out when he gets in there, and he's like limping every other step. It was like really good touch on all of it to really emphasize how they're feeling in that moment. So that was great. And when Braun Breakker and Bronson Reed come out by themselves, I instantly was like, this looks so much better. This is what we've been saying, which is they were kind of getting lost in the shuffle behind Seth and Heyman. You don't have Seth there, but you don't have Heyman either. They don't need Paul Heyman.
They don't.
Just the two of them together look more menacing, and because you feel like there isn't a Paul Heyman to restrain them. I don't know what they're going to do, especially after what they did the night prior. And then both of them very solid on the mic, like you would expect, and they got to just be themselves. as we get into the Seth stuff later, I like keeping them doing their own thing for a little bit and considering it made me wonder, are we going to get them into a tag team division and start to do stuff? They don't have to be with Seth every single time they do something. And this whole segment was awesome.
What that segment and what you just said crystallized, because people have been all over the place about the vision. They like it, they don't like it, it doesn't work, it works, but it's not as hot as it should be, whatever the case might be. It's not Bronson Reed that's the issue, or Braun Breaker, or Seth Rollins. If there is a weak link in this faction, and it's crazy to say this, Paul Heyman's the weak link, because
it's not even a weak link. It's just
the unneeded part.
It's unneeded. He's unnecessary.
The unnecessary part, because all three of them can speak. Now, Rollins is more experienced and veteran, and the Bronze, they're not gonna, do a teardown mic segment like LA Knight. If you put Bronson Reed in there with LA Knight, he's not going to be able to go toe-to-toe with him the entire way. But combined with scripts and lines prepared and what they're going to do, they are more than capable of going out and speaking for themselves. Seth Rollins is more than capable of leading a promo segment with his entire faction. And if Becky Lynch is truly part of this, then you have two expert-level mic workers there. Heyman becomes an additional limb. What's that called? A vestigial limb? Or something like that? That just unnecessary, unneeded, whatever the case might be. So what I would do, you can't really separate Heyman from them because you've put all your balls in that basket. He can't go back with Punk. He can't go to Reigns. I guess you could put him back with Lesnar if you really needed to. What I would do is keep him around, but he's the businessman. He's in the background, big smile on his face, whispers into ears, things like that. Let everyone else talk, because this segment, to your point, crystallized. They don't need him to speak for them. The Bronze I'm talking about.
So, well, just keep him off television for a while. You just told us he's in the hospital and he's injured. Like, that's why it all flowed together well.
For sure.
He doesn't need to be there for a while, and let these two do their thing, and I think it'll go very well.
Totally agree. So Michael Cole announced that Heyman has an injured larynx. I guess I did build it into the show. While Reigns has multiple broken ribs. I had a funny visual in my head of them like sharing a hospital room. Roman's strapped down like he's under arrest. He can't go at Paul. He's foaming at the mouth, and Heyman's there just laughing at him. I just thought it was
or they're next to each other, and there's just a curtain in between them.
Right. And they're talking shit the entire time. Yeah, and they can't get to each other. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, Knight backstage admitted that teaming with Uso, particularly given he's injured, is probably a dumb decision, but they can either survive together or die apart in the match. And if Jay screws him, he'll get his comeuppance right back. Punk was then shown speaking with Rhea Ripley, still stationed in his same spot of the stadium, when Pierce approached, saying he's been informed Rollins is somehow in the building, and this set up both main events of the show. So we had Punk entering and demanding right away that Rollins meet him in the ring, face him man-to-man, saying he would hijack the show if necessary. Rollins' music hit immediately, but it was actually Becky Lynch who came out, did her husband's full entrance while getting serenaded. She said she may not be the man he's looking for, but she's the man he'll have to deal with. Fans loudly chanted AJ Lee. With Becky answering, she had a great line. Classic. Always chanting for a dope who doesn't work here. Punk tried to leave. Wasn't dude going to hijack the show until Rollins got out there? Anyway, Lynch refused, demanding he listen to her. She said he's been telling lies about her husband, who has sacrificed more for this business than he would ever know. She said Seth is hot, jacked, and talented, all things Punk is not. Punk then called Rollins a coward. Becky said Punk leaving WWE, it didn't just affect Rollins and the men. His name got chanted during her matches and with the women as well. Their hard work being overlooked because of him. She said he's not the voice of the voiceless, but a poster child for apathy. And she didn't forgive the fans after they supported her because she got herself to the main event of WrestleMania. And they as a couple got wrestling to where it is today. She got shut the F up chants, and that led to Lynch snapping, saying she started a revolution, and they're in the middle of another one now, dominating two divisions as champions. Becky said the business doesn't need Punk. He doesn't fit the vision, so they wish him the best in his future endeavors. Punk kind of co-opted her line, saying he's the best in the world, and it's not just him saying that, but 30,000 fans saying that, who went nuts for him delivering that line. All proof that he runs WWE, not their family or their faction, given Rollins is a coward who hides behind not just a stable, but his own wife. Punk then put over Lynch, saying she's more than just a wife. She is the man. She's just got bad taste. Punk then fully flipped into Rollins mode, saying he will always hate him and their feud will never be over. First time he said that. Rollins walked onto the stage, fully goaded Punk to meet him there, only for Lynch to continue getting in his way. By the time he finally got around her, Rollins was walking to the back. Becky then straight punched him in the face twice, slapped him 24 times, shoved him a bunch, daring him to do something to her while laughing at him and calling him pathetic. Punk said he'd make Rollins regret cashing in on him, and he'd make her regret ever putting hands on him. And as he left, she continued to berate him verbally on the mic, saying she was angry coming out of Clash in Paris because he got ball sweat on her hoodie, which was just a funny ass line to kind of conclude this entire segment. Now, I know you and I both have plenty to say on this, Chris. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to pontificate for a moment. I need you to indulge me.
Go ahead.
We throw around platitudes, right? Like best segment this or incredible promo that. And while we usually mean it when we say it, looking back on some of those with a wider lens, it's often pretty easy to say, well, yeah, this or that also happened that was just as good or better. This was one of the best segments of 2025 and one of Becky's best promos in her entire career. I'm not even exactly sure how to explain it. The confidence she expressed, the way she stood up to Punk, the fact that she had her own hatred for him in storyline and didn't just rely on her husband's perspective, that showed agency for her, the manner in which she spoke so forcefully while in the ring with not just a man, but someone himself who was one of the greatest promos of all time, her ability to not get bounced off her spot even once by a boisterous crowd, the way her body language, mannerisms, her facial expressions supported her words and reacted to his words. It was simply remarkable. She even sounded different. The truth crystallized here, I guess I've used that word 2 or 3 times already today, is that Becky has been holding back against the women's division because none of them can match up to her. We've seen her come alive in segments and on-screen moments with John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, now CM Punk. I've said it before. I'll say it again. She's the greatest women's wrestler of all time. No, it's not just Sports Illustrated saying that. In fact, I've been saying it years before they did, whenever that happened. No one that has come before her or after her to this point can speak like Bex, concluding it with Becky literally laying into Punk. I mean, she legitimately punched him in the face twice before all the slaps and shove. They were short range punches. They were punches nonetheless. It added so much gravity to the segment and the feud. The way she scoffed at the AJ Lee chants and moved on from them. That was expert level shit. This was another level by Becky. A promo that will go down in her personal lore. We speculated on the Clash in Paris Instant Analysis that Becky and Seth would be far better together as heels than when they were forced together by Vince McMahon as faces back in 2019. That proved itself out already on Monday night. Not just because they're heels, but their relationship is no longer new. It's 6 years later. They're 6 years older. And this is a storyline they actively want to participate in. I've spent all this time on Becky. I haven't even pointed out Punk played his part perfectly. That's really tough to do when you can't put your hands on the person in wrestling parlance who is going at you. He made sure also not to disrespect Becky or minimize her role in the industry, yet he maintained his position. He stood firm, he showed legitimate anger, and he told the story of his flip switching from wanting to move past Rollins, which he said every single time they feuded, to now falling into the same category of saying, you know what? Yes, this is a forever feud. I'm going to hate you for the rest of my life. This literally could not have been better. 10 out of 10. And my ultimate compliment, Chris, perfection achieved.
Yep, I completely agree with all of that. I had written down promo segment of the year. I don't know how we classify promo of the year, whatever, if it's two people going back and forth. But this is Becky Lynch, the greatest women's talker of all time, going up against CM Punk, who has a case as the best men's talker of all time. And you could tell both of them were on their game. And there were a couple moments where Punk, he didn't like slip, but he like didn't quite deliver a word he wanted to. And you see in his face that like he knows Becky knows that. Mm-hmm. And so he like refocuses as he continues to go through the promo. Just expert level stuff between all of them, and some things that they came up on the fly when they talk about the chants, and Punk lifts up the microphone to let the crowd keep chanting in the middle of her promo. I just, every part of this, Becky looked like she was having the time of her life, like you said, knowing that she can fully let loose and she doesn't need to hold back on some words or some things or getting in someone's face because it's going to make them look bad, because it's CM Punk in front of her. And not only is it CM Punk who you go at like that, Punk has to take it. Punk's selling of this in the end of it was incredible. He almost looked like he was going to cry because he was like, I know what I cannot do right here. And she just buried me with some of the stuff she said, and then continued to say as he leaves, he goes, "You'll regret putting your hands on me." And he walks out and she says, "I already do. I got your sweat on me," and stuff like that. And like, just never let up. She just kept going at him. And I'm sure the whole point was, I'm sure Punk said, keep going at me. Don't lay off of it. And Rollins walks out and then just leaves. And I was like, what was the point of that? It seemed really unnecessary. And then I realized the point was to make them essentially flip around.
Right.
And then have Punk turn around into Becky. And so that, like, everything about this was crafted perfectly. I'm going to rewatch this multiple times. Like, the look on Becky's face throughout the entire thing, it felt like every promo she's given in her life was for this moment, to deliver this, like, verbal knockout punch to CM Punk. And it was like, this is the level she's on. Yep. This is like, she is one of the greatest talkers in all of wrestling history. And she got to show that here.
She was literally glowing. Like, her face, her smile, her cheeks were rosy. You could see it, that she said, this is my performance. No, I don't want to say of a lifetime, but this is my opportunity to prove I'm not the best woman's talker of all time. I'm one of the best talkers, period, of all time. And I'm going to lay into this guy physically, verbally, as much as I possibly can. And when you talked about the whole thing of like Rollins coming out there, why do you have to do it to turn them around? That's true. The other reason that happened is she had to prove that she was not just in the way with her presence and her words. She was in the way physically of him being able to go at her husband and get the retribution he wants. So now Punk has no other option but to find a physical threat who can go at Lynch and negate her. That way the path can get cleared for Rollins. So this was as well.
Real quick on that. I loved how she stepped in front of him once, and the second time he just kind of like forces his way through awkwardly. Like, he doesn't know how far she's going to go to try to block him the next time.
Well, he did a spin move.
He kind of has to like kind of get his way in there. And you could tell as a character, he felt embarrassed for having to do that.
Right.
And that is why Becky did that. That was awesome.
What really stood out to me was like Becky was, the queen of the segment, the king of the segment. She's the man after all. But Punk was just as important. He said, I don't know how many fewer words he said. What, 1/4 as many words, maybe even less than that. But his presence and his reaction, the way he ensured, and he made every effort to ensure that his words, the word choice he used, the way he phrased things, were not to diminish her. You're not just his wife. You're not just a women's wrestler. You're on our level. But at the same time,
he literally said that. He said, you're not just someone's wife. You're one of the greatest of all time. You just have bad taste.
Exactly. But that said, it's not, CM Punk and Seth Rollins and, oh, by the way, Becky Lynch. It's CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Becky Lynch. Like,
the other thing about Rollins coming out and leaving is him saying, Becky doesn't need me.
Right.
She has this herself.
Yeah.
Like, for all the talk about we've been saying over the last couple of years of like pro wrestling is cinema and yada yada, this and that, this more than I think maybe any moment over the last couple of years has shown the actual cinematic value and good acting between everybody involved.
I mean, outside of the Bloodline story when it was at its peak, but yes, I do agree with that. This is wrestling moving forward, because there have been segments with men and women before. There have not been segments with men and women like this. with layered storytelling, with respect being shown for them being equals. People, think back to 2019. Oh, wow, Baron Corbin did End of Days to Becky. Yeah, that was a cool-ass spot. They were not treated as equals in that feud. Simple, okay? This is a situation where Becky Lynch is an equal to CM Punk, and he is realizing this is not someone I can shoo away, get around. Like, he literally could not get around her. I have to figure out a way through her. And there's only one way for him to get through her.
Has a woman ever physically attacked a man that much in WWE that wasn't like a match?
Definitely.
Like that many. It wasn't like slap. It kept going. She must have hit him like 20 times.
I would say I don't think a woman's ever done it that like disrespectfully to try to get them to fight them before.
Yeah.
Because what Becky's motivation there is punch me so you get suspended. That's what she's trying to make happen, right? Or prove yourself to be a hypocrite or whatever the case.
Or worse. Yeah.
Right. Or worse than that. I can't recall something like that ever happening, but there's definitely been situations. AJ Lee herself, I want to say, went nuts on Bryan Danielson or like Kane or something back in the day. China definitely beat people up, no question, like outside of match situations.
Yeah, China's a little bit different.
She is. But no, I don't think Ronda Rousey fought. I'm trying to think. No, she never had a physical altercation outside of the WrestleMania segment. She didn't.
I think she may have thrown Triple H down once or something.
Well, they did the segment at WrestleMania where I think she put him in an armbar. I forget. I have my memory of that.
She put Stephanie in the armbar. Yeah,
I thought she did something to Triple H in that too.
She may have did the judo
throw. Yeah, maybe she threw him. Yeah. But not this. The point is not this. Not a situation where a woman went at a guy to such a degree where she was saying, like, I'm gonna punch you and slap you a grand total of like 30 times with the shoves also. Hit me.
She literally put her chin out there.
She did.
Too.
Yeah. This was
wild.
Phenomenal segment. We're going to say that word a bunch on this particular episode. But I mean, top tier, not exaggerating. Loved it in every possible way. To your point, we'll be rewatching this a bunch. Maybe we even have a second look at this segment on next week's WWE edition of the show. But there's a lot more that happened on Raw Monday night. So let's make sure that we get to it, okay? So I've been into the Vision since they started. I truly do not understand how some out there were like bored with it or not entertained by it or whatever. But what I will say is Becky standing alongside Seth now adds an element to the overall storyline of this reign, whether she's officially part of the faction or not, that has immediately taken it to another level. I am so much more invested in it now than I was before. And again, that's coming from someone who's liked it from the beginning. Lynch did say a couple different times, I think, that Punk didn't fit their vision. So it does make me believe she's a formal member. But either way, Becky being involved both overall and with Punk, it was just fresh on Monday night. It was different. And you don't get to this place if you don't build all the individual elements along the way. From Seth Rollins and Heyman to the addition of Breakker, the addition of Reed, naming themselves, Becky coming back, doing everything that she did to screw over Lyra, or first Bayley, then Lyra, win the Intercontinental Championship. All of this was a concerted step-by-step process to get to this moment on Monday night.
It was another example of why keeping the bronze away is good, because Seth and Becky are going to take up so much oxygen. Mm-hmm. You don't need either of them out there with them right now. Now, if you want to have Becky support them, like we said before, like, sure, go ahead. But it felt like on this episode, they created kind of a dividing line. Oh, man, I've got one of those little lizards is currently in my room. It just crawled under the door. We get those in Texas when it gets hot out. They
get them in
attach
Florida
themselves
too.
To the house.
Yeah, we do the same. We got the same thing.
All right, we'll see where that goes.
All right. A new addition to the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. So interesting that we discussed, by the way, on the instant analysis, because we had a conversation about this, how SmackDown is going to be in Chicago, and therefore it wouldn't make any sense to run the Punk Rollins feud there because neither of them are actually going to be on the show. Well, after this segment...
Well, to be fair, I said yes. You said no because they weren't SmackDown superstars.
Well, right. I'm talking the royal we, okay, the editorial. Because... Okay. After this segment happened on Monday night, Punk confronted Pierce backstage and basically told him without any argument allowed, I'm going to be on SmackDown this Friday. I don't want to wait until Raw next Monday to address the situation. And he had a twinkle in his eye. So what I believe you talked about, Chris, on the show is definitely feasible. Now, I figured it would get saved a bit, but we may see AJ Lee as soon as this Friday back in the United States. And that match may be happening as soon as WrestlePalooza in 3 weeks' time. At first glance, it feels like, man, this really should get a lot more build, but it's already super hot after 2 shows. There's 3 SmackDowns and 2 Raws to go. So here's my question. Separate from the AJ Lee, which I think you and I agree is most likely what's happening. You saw Punk earlier in this show speaking with Ripley backstage. Is there any possibility that is actually the move, or is that completely a red herring? I fall into the latter camp of the two.
I fall into the latter because you wouldn't need to do the whole Chicago part. Like AJ Lee is coming back. She's coming back on Friday. Like that's the whole unless Chicago is the red herring for Rhea Ripley rather than Rhea Ripley being the red herring for AJ Lee.
Possible.
But no, you have to. Becky acknowledged it. They're leaning so much into the wife, husband of it all. Like if anything, I feel like they should say it's not AJ Lee, if it wasn't going to be. Because yes, people will be excited it's Rhea Ripley, but people will also be disappointed it's not AJ Lee.
That's exactly correct. Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
Punk would have said on the mic, guys, she's not coming back. Or he would have said like, guys, I appreciate that. April's really happy. Like he would have stopped it. You know what I mean? And he didn't. He picked up the sign after Clash in Paris. They mentioned it on the post show. It does feel a little bit rushed. Like I would like this to be something that gets stretched out a little bit. And there's teases and you think she's going to come, but she doesn't. And then all of a sudden when you're least expecting it, she actually shows up. But, WWE beats us over the head with shit. I'll give them credit. They're not beating us over the head with it entirely. Really, it's the fans that are the ones, pushing this forward. And if she shows up in Chicago, or if she doesn't, maybe she doesn't, and she ends up showing up on Raw the next Monday, and that's the red herring, it's going to be insane when AJ Lee shows up on TV. Like I said, on the instant analysis, for those of you who may have missed it, and I really forgot to promote that we had it, and you should listen to that before you listen to this episode. But as I said on that show, when AJ Lee shows up, she is the number one, other than Sasha Banks, woman that WWE can bring in. There's no one else besides those two who will get as crazy a reaction as AJ Lee or Sasha Banks. Sasha's signed with another company as Mercedes Moné. So it's AJ Lee on her own singularly holds that role, and WWE bringing her in would be massive.
The pop is going to be insane.
Yeah.
It's so, how long does the story go? I don't know. Maybe AJ Lee. The larger story is Seth versus Punk, and that will continue. And if you want to have a chapter of it involving the wives, that's fine. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen other than AJ Lee is coming back, and it's going to be nuts.
Yeah. Light it up, mother effers.
Do you think they're going to use that song?
They have to
have the rights.
They'll pay for it.
Have to.
Whatever it is, they'll pay for it. Yeah,
they have to. It's because like she, leaves wrestling and just is kind of. She's doing some things, but there was never a sense she was going to come back. It was like Punk. They both of them felt like the two people who left wrestling and were actually going to be the people who never came back.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Punk came back to AEW, you always have it in your head. Well, that means AJ Lee could come back because she's with the guy who came back when we didn't think he was going to come back. So it's set up to be an unbelievable moment, not just because people want to see AJ Lee come back, but because of how they set it up on this episode of Raw. AJ Lee has to come back.
Right. She
has to come back and help her husband because that is the story they have told us perfectly.
Frankly, if it was going to be Ripley, she should have come out already and just taken down Becky. And that's it. You know what I mean? That's what you would need to do. It is a Jim Johnston song, so WWE does still license stuff from him. So one would presume that they will be able to do that. So there was one more segment on Raw involving the Vision in totality, Jay and LA against the Braun Brawns. It was indeed the main event of the show. The heels dominated through the first break, even after Knight hit his jump-up elbow drop. Jay speared Breakker while on a hot tag, but he wasn't the legal man. The faces actually worked together to clothesline Reed over the ropes before Jay hit a tope suicida. Knight blocked a spear with a kick and hit BFT, positioning him for an Uso splash, but Reed broke the fall. Jay hit Reed with 3 super kicks, a spear, and an Uso splash, but immediately ate a spear from Breakker, who was the legal man, for the heel win. The Vision attacked after the bell. Knight prevented a tsunami on Us, only to get speared by Breakker, thrown over the announce table. Jay then got flattened with a rope run spear and a tsunami. It looked like the Vision were going to stand tall and dominant. The show was going to end. I mean, they did. But Jimmy Uso ran down with a steel chair well after everything ended to protect his brother. So as the show concluded, Jay then said to his brother, "I need you. I can't do it." Presumably, I can't do it alone. I loved that this was a clean match, even if the lack of tagging in the latter stages left a little bit something to be desired. It would be unfair for me not to criticize Jimmy getting out there so incredibly late. When I talk about that all the time with AEW, this was still faster by comparison because for a bit, Jay had LA helping him, so he didn't necessarily need Jimmy, and it was 2-on-2. But he is the dude's brother, and he probably should have been watching from gorilla position or just outside of it, so he should have been out there as soon as possible. But that was a minor blemish on what I thought was an excellent main event. With the Vision winning, it adds credence to our long-held contention that they should be tag team champions sooner than later. The ending here also sets up a legitimate revitalization of the entire division. If the Usos are finally reforming, all of a sudden, you have the Usos, New Day, War Raiders, Judgment Day, the Braun Brawns potentially. That's a fully formed tag team division. I feel like I projected this a couple months ago, but I could be wrong. I actually hope, and I don't know that it's going to happen, but he took all that punishment to the ribs and the tsunami and the spear. I hope Jay is off TV for like 6 to 8 weeks. The Vision need to have an opportunity to win the titles, establish themselves as champions before they begin feuding with the Usos. There's really no reason to bring back Roman or Jay until it's time to build for War Games. And ideally, if they do a Vision Usos feud, that wouldn't happen until 2026, well after War Games is over, on the back end of that. But Chris, this was a sensible way to get them potentially back together, keep all 4 guys occupied while others are featured in different divisions, and even just bell to bell with a clean finish. I really liked what they gave us in the main event, even if I didn't think initially it should have been in the main event.
Well, I don't know what Jimmy was doing there. He's a SmackDown superstar. He can't possibly be on the other brand. I was kind of annoyed this happened because I'd written in my notes earlier in the show, when are we going to get the Usos back as a tag team again? And I wondered that because Jay's theme is just another version of the Usos theme,
right?
Which I loved, still think it was better, but everybody kind of now knows the Jay theme. And I kept wondering, like, well, like the Usos are arguably the greatest tag team of all time. And they've never really, like, they teamed up at War Games, but they've never really hinted or even kind of talked about it or made you wonder, like, when will they actually get back together? And then you have Jimmy make the save here. And I was like, we got to do this. And I didn't want it to be a 6-man or anything like that with LA and whoever. No, this is time for the Usos to be the Usos again and go and come out to day one-ish, their theme, and remind people that they are one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And like you said, that sets up an incredible tag team division. Maybe the Bronze beat them first, just to like establish themselves, and then the Usos kind of work their way back up.
Rematch at WrestleMania. You could do it.
Yeah,
definitely.
like these guys main evented a night of WrestleMania, like, and deservedly so, as champions, the longest reigning champs of all time. So I'm fired up about if that's where we're going, if we're going to.
Yeah, my guess is that WWE wanted to ensure that when Jay dropped the World Heavyweight Championship, it wasn't just, oh, well, back to the tag team division, because that's what they did with Big E. And everyone hated it because it was unfair to him, right? He should have still been working singles, going after the mid-card title, still competing for the heavyweight championship. And they just threw him right back into New Day doing, Freebird type of stuff, different versions of the teams, in matches and things like that. So here, I think WWE wanted to ensure that Jay was given a way to allow his singles run to breathe and establish that he is a singles performer. He can be one even without a championship, and we can bring him back to the main event whenever we want. And allowing him to go through these machinations, lose his rematch, lose this opportunity, it just kind of worked to kind of say, okay, you've gone through it all. You have no leg to stand on for another chance. And you have a much greater threat, not just to you, but to your family. It's time to go deal with that. And in order to do that, you need to team up with your brother. And it makes a lot of sense to bring the Usos back together that way. So I do hope, fingers crossed, that they are back, and that's what we're going to get. It's not that Jay didn't do well in the singles division or doesn't belong there or anything like that. But the facts are WWE is loaded in the men's singles division, and there's a lot of people who have not been getting opportunities. Meanwhile, the tag team division has suffered because they've broken up. And it's a perfect opportunity to bring them back together, enhance the division on Raw. We'll talk more about that division later in the show. This was hugely successful as far as I was concerned. Even though, I didn't think it should be the main event. Once it ended, I was like, all right, I get it. I understand why they did this. All right, Chris, well, that takes care of the main event. We still have a ton to cover from SmackDown and Raw this week, and we're going to do it here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, as we always do, by covering the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, yo. Survey says one more for the good guy.
Say hello to the back.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
So let's start with Dragon Lee against Finn Balor. Dragon remained over like Rover in Europe. Finn too, obviously. Huge tope con hero early, counter Liger bomb late for Lee. Balor hit his signatures, started getting cheered as a face, going for coup de grace when Lee stopped him. When Finn got hung up in the ropes, JD McDonough jumped on the apron. Dragon took him off via leap over Hurricanrana to the outside. Dragon then went for his hanging double stomp. Probably the most legitimate setup for one of these that I've seen in quite some time. But Balor dragged him off the ropes by his mask. He climbed up, hit coup de grace for what I would consider a squeaky clean victory, at least for a heel. Dragon did an excellent job setting up the finish by not laying flat on his back initially. He was like on his way trying to get up. He has really shown out in Europe. Hopefully the crowd reaction carries over to the United States. I also find it interesting this entire time the Dragon's been doing this, I don't think he's been wearing an LWO shirt. The guys have not been there with him. We're still waiting for Rey Mysterio to come back. Are they establishing Dragon Lee as an individual finally? Like, I don't know, but fingers crossed that they are. Balor needed this win after losing last week, especially given they were in Europe. It was one of the best bits of work, bell to bell, that we've gotten from Finn in a long time. This was a great match, a definite good. Grades were difficult for me during Raw on Monday night, or Monday, I guess, afternoon. I was doing so much with work at the same time, but this was like B+, A- borderline. I loved this match.
Yeah, it was good wrestling. You know, there wasn't much else to it because, you know, Dragon Lee doesn't really have a character, but the match was good. Finn got to show out. That was needed. Your point about Dragon Lee, like, I guess the LWO technically exists. This has been a faction that has, I guess, been around for a couple of years now, but I cannot remember the last time they actually did anything as a faction. But in the entrance Chiron, it has the LWO logo into Dragon Lee's name. So I guess technically we are still doing that.
We are. What's your grade on this? Was it good, I assume?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
Intercontinental Championship, Dominic Mysterio defending against AJ Styles. Pierce banned Balor and McDonough from ringside because JD jumped on the apron during the prior match. Styles initially got the same reaction he did in Lyon, but after his entrance, so Raw goes to commercial in the United States, the fans chanted for him through the entire 3-minute break, and then another minute when they came back before they announced Dominic. So 5 straight minutes, volume not dipping at all, chanting phenomenal for AJ Styles. It was absolutely wild. And AJ actually got to enjoy it this time because he was a babyface last time he was a heel. He had to mean mug, while he was in the ring. So Dom, go ahead.
I'm ready to say AJ Styles in France is bigger than Bret Hart in Canada or CM Punk in Chicago. Like, it's unreal. It's to the point where I want AJ Styles' retirement match to somehow happen in France. It's just a thing that they totally just, I think, like lucked into because I don't even think WWE knew about this phenomenal chant song being a thing. And last time they were there, it happened, and it just, they were like, whoa. And so it's crazy, man. Like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That reaction.
The visual
It's
last
nuts.
time was actually crazier just because it was a smaller arena. The camera did legitimately shake. Whereas this time, just seeing the number of people doing it was crazy. I'm not going to say he's bigger in France than Bret Hart in Canada or CM Punk in Chicago, but he's on par. And I think the fact that an American with no French connection in his blood is on par with the reactions those guys get is wild in its own right. So like I said, 5 straight minutes chanting for this guy. Then the match finally begins. Dom gets powerbombed into and over the French announce table into the second break. He also got caught flying with an atomic drop, which I thought was extremely creative. I'm sure it's been done a million times. I can't recall seeing that move before, at least not in like a decade. Dom avoided Styles' clash, but took a suplex vertically into the turnbuckles. AJ got run into the ring post before eating a Michinoku driver and 3 amigos. Eddie chant, followed by a frog splash for a false finish. Styles caught the 619 cold, hit a Styles clash, but Dom first grabbed the bottom rope to keep himself near it, then got his feet on the middle rope for a broken fall. Styles then brought him into the middle of the ring, hit Bloody Sunday. Did not expect that at all, but El Grande Americano prevented him from the phenomenal forearm. Mysterio distracted the referee at the same time. Then Americano headbutted AJ in the ribs with the loaded mask. Dom slowly climbed up the rope, hitting a frog splash to retain the title. It took Dom so long to get up there. I thought Styles might actually move and it was all going to be a swerve for the finish. Nope. So, look, this match was actually phenomenal. Pun intended. The finish and booking was effing idiotic. Okay, there is zero excuse, zero, for not changing the title here. Yes, I understand Dominic is over. Yes, I understand Dominic is challenging for the AAA mega title, and he's likely going to win it from Vikingo. He does not need to be a double champion. If you wanted to use Americano, his interference could have given Dom an excuse to drop the title, so his mega title win was not diminished because he lost clean recently. The crowd died a quick death, and I got to tell you, WWE cost itself an all-time moment, not once, but twice in as many years with Styles in France. And we don't know that they'll be back next year, and we don't know that he's going to be still wrestling next year. He said he added a year to his contract. When does that end? Will it include them going back to France? There is no good reason I can conjure that he did not win the Intercontinental Championship on Monday. You could have had Styles win in Paris and drop the title back next week on TV in a rematch if you wanted. But there was no reason for him not to win this title. I just don't get it.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
The match and segment in a vacuum were good. If this was held in Chicago or Birmingham or wherever, it delivered. The booking and decision-making, I truly do not understand it, particularly the repetitiveness of another interference finish for a heel champion. Styles now going 0-2 against Mysterio. What's he going to do now? This is a company in WWE that prides itself on moments, and it didn't capitalize on the biggest moment it could have achieved through this entire weekend in France. A moment that would have put it in the good graces of fans to such a degree, they probably could have doubled their prices next year and sold out the same venue. Ironically, this was TNA booking by them not taking advantage of someone who was hot and in the moment and able to go over massively in the worst possible way. That alone singularly moves this to a bad. It's not because they didn't book it the way I wanted. It's because they didn't make the obvious booking decision that every single person watching the show wanted. And they chose not to do it without any legitimate, sensible reason otherwise. Dom is not doing anything important enough with the title that he could not have dropped it. And like I said, they could have flipped it back in a week if they so chose. So Chris, it was by all other accounts a good segment. In our segment here, it gets a bad.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just don't understand. Like, it felt like the old Vince McMahon booking of like have somebody lose in their hometown that they would do for so long. Like, why? What is the point? if the only argument I could think of is Dominic is over in doing things, AJ, he's over in France, but he's not really doing anything in America, so whatever. I don't buy that, but I'm guessing that's the only thing I can think of. I don't know what's going on in AAA, so you laying that out there, and if Dom really is going to win the
I think he's going to.
AAA championship,
Yeah.
that would be even more of a reason to not have the IC championship.
Mhm.
Like, why would you want him to be a double champion in that case? Like, highlight that whole. I don't get it. AJ for the past year plus, he's just been floating around. They don't do anything with him. We wonder, are they going to do a Cena thing? Is he going to win the IC title here? And it's just, I don't get, like, so the idea that WWE was going to book this match, save it for Raw, it was going to get the reaction it was going to get, all to have another El Grande Americano interference for the loss. It's like, why, man? Nobody gained anything from this. Dom didn't get any more heat than he already has because he's already has mega heat.
Yeah.
El Grande Americano doesn't get anything. AJ doesn't get anything because he's lost now twice. Like, we're not doing this again.
Right.
AJ is not winning the title from Dom. If he was going to do it, you do it here. So
right.
What are we doing?
And you're not going to merge the AAA mega title with the WWE Intercontinental Championship. So there's no real reason for him to have both. He's going to have to lose both, right? Eventually. It just...
There's nothing going on with the IC title other than AJ.
Right.
Like, it's not like anybody's in AJ doing his best to, like, make something out of nothing with the Dom injury and kind of doing all those funny things for a couple of weeks. Like, they worked to make this matter, set it up extremely well. They built it all up, like, in a good way to just throw it away for nothing.
On top of that, they gave us the relative clunker. I know some people enjoyed it more than I did because of all the Eddie Guerrero references, but they didn't go all the way out at SummerSlam, which is a bigger show, right? And the reason was, we said, oh, well, okay, that was disappointing. But if they're going to rematch this in Paris at the Clash in Paris show and AJ wins, okay, it makes sense why this wasn't all the way. They just were doing a first step. Except it wasn't even on the Clash in Paris show. Now, it makes sense why. And it wasn't the main event of Raw. It also makes sense why. Because the dude was losing. But again, Chris, even if you don't want Styles to have the title long term, and we laid out on this show, have AJ win. It could literally be Cena's last match where he takes it, or his penultimate match where he takes it and then he drops it in his last match. And then Cena becomes a Grand Slam champion, which John Cena, who WWE right now purports as the greatest of all time, is not a Grand Slam champion in this company. I think there's 17 men, I want to say, who are, maybe a little bit less than that. And he's not one of them. So this would have been a great way to get the match that everyone wants, Cena and Styles. Put the IC title on the line. You can drop it to Dom at the end there. Or if you say that you're booking, you're Paul Levesque, Dom needs to be Intercontinental Champion for whatever you have planned going forward. Cool. Styles wins here. Dom wins September 8th on Raw. Americano helps him win it back. And everyone's happy. Why would you not make everyone happy when you could?
Yeah. What's most frustrating is nothing has made me think there's some plan for AJ Styles after this.
Right.
Like, maybe there is, but it hasn't felt like they've had a plan for him for more than since the last time they were in France.
Look,
ever since he lost to Cody, he's been hurt. He's been this, that, like, he's doing nothing of importance. I don't think we're not going to give him this moment because he's got something bigger coming. I don't believe that.
Yeah, like, what is the write-off for this guy? Or are we literally, because he extended his contract a year, almost saying, you know what, 2025 doesn't really count. Let him put people over in 2025. 2026 will be the retirement tour where he wins and accomplishes things and we really feature him. And if that's the case, I can stomach that, but we can't see the forest from the trees right now because we don't know when that's going to happen. But this is what AJ Styles has done this year. And, you know, like you said, coming out of Backlash in Lyon last year, that was fantastic, obviously. Then he got hurt and, you know, they did the retirement return and then he got hurt again, you know, don't forget, in his first match back. But he has been eliminated by Logan Paul in the Rumble. Then he lost to Logan Paul at WrestleMania, so he didn't get his comeuppance there. I think El Grande Americano's beaten him a couple times. He lost to Dom twice now. And based on what Cena said after the show, we're not going to get Cena Styles. And it's just like, why? And they threw us a Styles Balor match on TV last week for no reason whatsoever. So we don't even get that in a featured spot. I don't get it at all, dude. It's really annoying. This match was great, by the way. I legitimately believe this was the best singles match of Dominic's career. I'm at 4 stars, A-, and I might even be selling it short a little bit. But this was an awesome match with the entirely wrong finish.
It would, like you said, it would have given a moment that we would have remembered for all of them.
They talk about moments. Give us a moment. Why would you not?
Their moment is just the fan chant,
I guess,
and that's enough.
Can you imagine what would have happened if he won? Like,
yeah,
I forget liking AJ, and WWE should deliver on its moments. I wanted to see that. I wanted that
Imagine
visual.
the pop.
That's what I'm saying.
And him holding up the belt and the crowd chanting phenomenal. Like, that's a career moment.
That is,
like, when you think about
that is the end moment on the Hall of Fame video package. When he gets inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame and they do the whole video package leading into it, the last thing that you would see is him holding up the Intercontinental Championship, not even your top title, and 30,000 people going insane for him. And instead, you just don't do that.
God, I'm mad.
Yeah. I kind of want to say ugly. I mean, it's bad. It's not ugly, but I kind of want to go that far because that's how angry I am about it. It's such a wrong decision. Let's move to the SmackDown equivalent of this. United States Championship Solo Sikoa defending against Sami Zayn. The challenger backstage said he liked his odds, got the crowd pumped up, speaking in French. Sikoa later cut a parking lot promo, basically trying to assert his dominance. I appreciated Mike Nash announcing the faction as MFT without pluralizing it, unlike Wade Barrett. And we praised Wade plenty on the show, so I can criticize him a little bit. MFT interfered ringside before spinning Solo. Jimmy Uso ran out to support, but got beat down before Jacob Fatu attacked out of the crowd. That distraction led to a Blue Thunder Bomb false finish, with the faces chasing the heels away from the ring. Zayn ate spinning Solo into the announce table, but countered off the ropes for a sunset flip powerbomb false finish. Some seriously great late kickouts by Sikoa in this match. Solo followed a Samoan drop with an Uso splash. Sammy answered with an exploder suplex. Solo countered Helluva Kick with a super kick. Zayn then ducked the Samoan spike, hit a short-range Helluva Kick, ran back, hit a second full Helluva Kick to claim the United States Championship for the first time in his career, making him a Triple Crown winner and putting him a world title away. It was not 17 Grand Slam champions. There are 24 Grand Slam champions. He would become the 25th if he wins a world championship. Again, a list John Cena's name is not on. This was a strong B match that required interference for storyline. To be fair, I am really glad it continued for 8 minutes after everyone left ringside, even if that included a commercial break. It would have been better on a PLE, definitely, and they probably should have put this on Clash in Paris, but WWE avoided going to the finish immediately after the bullshit. They allowed the match to breathe and the end to stand on its own. I always criticize them, AEW, a lot of other companies for not doing that. That was a huge positive here. The show did end a bit soon with the celebration. I would have liked to see more of it, but all in all, this was a good segment and a positive result. The title was in a black hole with Sikoa, and while they have a lot of work ahead of them to actually get me to care about Sammy as a character, at least now Zayn can hopefully defend this title on TV against a variety of competition, bring back the open challenge maybe. I'm a lot more interested in it now with Sammy than I was with Solo.
We're not doing the U.S. Open Challenge was like 10 years ago, I think, but it's a credit to how good it was that everybody brings it up every year as something they should do again.
A lot of faces do it occasionally.
But I mean like a true one, like the way Cena did,
right.
Where it was like a mystery every week. Like that was so much fun. That was Sami Zayn. Did he debut in the U.S. Open Challenge?
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both, I want to say, debuted in the Open Challenge. Sami Zayn dislocated his shoulder celebrating on his way to the ring and wrestled with a dislocated shoulder and then was out of action for an extended period of time.
That'd be a great way to just say, to honor John Cena, I'm going to do this. Like
he may well. That's why I'm saying he may well do it. Cena's on the show. Maybe he even asks Cena about it backstage. I'd love that interaction between them. There's a lot of cool stuff they can do. Yeah.
So ultimately, like, good match. Glad it changed. It needed to change. You know, Sammy's still crazy over. That's all good. And that's good. I don't want to get into the world title talk because I feel like we always have to do that with Sami Zayn right now. And frankly, I don't think this again even kind of helps that conversation because he's not really going through any story right now. So he's just on to something else. They move him over to SmackDown. He wins his belt. And let's have some fun with it. So it was a good, and I'll just leave it there.
So you kind of cut me off at my knees because I had a couple topics to go deeper in here with the world title talk. So let me just, if you don't want to go into it today, no, it's okay. We don't have to. But I'll just say a couple really brief things. Number one, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a similar booking to when Roman Reigns won the Intercontinental title on Raw back in 2017. They did that first as a prelude to putting him back into the main event, and then ultimately it transpired from there. What's going to be important is whenever Sammy does lose this, he's got to put over someone fresh. Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov, Ethan Page getting called up, Aleister Black or Andrade. I know they're older, they're not fresh, but they haven't been doing much of anything. They need a little boost. That's important. And when I kind of think about all of this, Chris, and I mentioned this on the instant analysis for WWE Clash in Paris, right? If you now have Sammy on the SmackDown brand, and let's say they do bring him into this world title picture, okay? For me, the answer is Drew McIntyre as world champion, Sammy going against him at WrestleMania. Drew is 11-0 against Sammy. That is conquering a foe, winning a big moment. If it can't be Kevin Owens because he's hurt, he's going to be out of action, it's got to be Drew McIntyre. So that was like 20 minutes of conversation I wanted to have with you all boiled down into two. So any thoughts on what I just said there?
That's the only thing I can think of because otherwise I don't know what the story for Sami Zayn is other than like people want him to win it. Like he's not exactly losing a bunch. He's not downtrodden. He's just kind of there.
Right.
He loses the big matches. He wins the matches he should. Okay. He's just, as a character, he
never loses, you know? He's an underdog who never loses the big match.
No, he loses the big match.
Not
he
really.
loses to Roman Reigns. And
He lost the biggest match of his career. But any other major match, title matches, he wins pretty much every time.
Matches. In the Drew matches, he beats who he should. He loses to who he should. He's just right there in the middle. Yeah. He's just not an interesting like character right now, other than Karrion Kross saying you won't win it, but Karrion Kross is gone.
Right.
So I don't know. Like that's why I'm just like, this is fine where he's at. I'm not gonna jump ahead to like what should Sami Zayn's story be.
Agreed.
Because we'll see it when we get it. Because right now he doesn't have much of one.
I just think the key is if you're going to call someone an underdog, they need to be booked like an underdog. And Sammy often is not. Sometimes he is.
Correct.
But sometimes he's not. Io Sky apologized to the Kabuki Warriors on Raw for last week. Asuka first gave a stern face, but quickly smiled, laughed, said it was okay. They all hugged each other. Io then offered to join them ringside, but Asuka said, unlike Rhea Ripley, they don't need any help. Sky said that she was done with Ripley, but when she said that she had something to tell them, Asuka said they had to go take care of Judgment Day for her. And Kairi Sane told Io everything was going to be okay. So we had Kabuki Warriors against Judgment Day. Fans were actually really into all four of them, but they were understandably on fire for Asuka. Roxanne Perez hit the Satomura knee after Raquel Rodriguez first leveled Asuka with a lariat. Perez countered out of Asuka lock, but Rodriguez got taken out ringside with a hip attack through the ropes and a Kairi splash off the ring post. Asuka then hit Roxy with her new hip attack finisher. Well, I said hit her, but she didn't actually hit her. The move sucks, made even worse because they botched it and she basically missed her. She went for a cover, but seeing the move didn't hit, the referee basically said, keep going. So Asuka rolled Roxy over into an Asuka lock for the tap out. So a botch led to a far better and stronger win, which is a hysterical outcome for the Silver King. I still have no idea why Asuka is doing the hip attack as her pinfall finisher. She's one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. She has an arsenal that is so freaking wide and deep. She has so many moves in her bag, and she's using a hip attack as a finisher in 2025. This match was great. All four of them put on a show outside of the clunky finish. I saw people criticizing this. That was the only part of the match I didn't like. The backstage segment leading into this was well done too. They continued building that storyline, digging deeper into their relationship. It's clear Asuka's going heel, but Io right now is too naive to see the signs. Double good for the backstage and for the match.
Yeah, the backstage stuff was fun. Like I like that Asuka that's like all over the place personality wise.
Yeah,
like
she's a
it's
psycho.
almost like the Joker. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're like a little bit on edge because she's like laughing, but then you're like, yeah, I don't know like what's going on here. So that was great. And the match was good. So yeah, this was all good.
So continuing out of this, Pierce announced after the match that the WWE Women's World Championship would be contested between Io and Stephanie Vaquer at WWE WrestlePalooza. This was the only logical match they could have made. No clue why it took them a month to book it. Neither of them wrestled on Clash in Paris. So in kayfabe, why wasn't this just on the show? Now it's going to be the third meeting between Io and Stephanie, the first two both being no contests on Raw, with a clean finish expected at this juncture when it was announced. And both are being baby faces. I thought, wow, this has legitimate potential to be a 5-star ceiling match. Their first two matches were excellent. The second one particularly so. The right booking on a massive show where the best bell-to-bell women's wrestlers in WWE right now can get showcased. That, my friends, is an easy good.
Yes, this was it made the most sense in the world, like we said. Agree on all points why it took so long. It's going to be a great match. I really don't know which way it's going to go either, and that's going to be fun to preview.
It will be.
This was good.
I do believe it can go either way. But we are not done with this storyline, which, again, music to the Silver King's ears. So Asuka later broke up a conversation between Io and Nikki Bella, the latter of whom got booed vociferously by the crowd. When Asuka shoved Nikki away, the crowd cheered, and I cackled watching that. It was hysterical. Asuka said that she was excited for them to all be champions together soon, and they would be there to help Sky against Vaquer. Io said she didn't need their help. Asuka insisted, saying, Io, you lost at SummerSlam when you were on your own, so clearly you need us to get your back. Then she screamed for Kyrie to follow her like a mother and her child in a grocery store. Even later, Ripley backstage said she respects Io and Stephanie. They both deserve the title match, but she has not taken her eyes off the world title and would do what she can to earn a championship on the back end. She was then asked about her relationship with Sky, only for the Kabuki Warriors to butt in, saying she's not really friends with Io and needs to stay away from her. Rhea said, don't push me. So Asuka got right in her face, saying she's a legend. She will push whoever the hell she wants. I was thinking she's Kenny KGB right there. You lost that reference because you haven't seen Rounders. It got majorly heated. They went face to face and then it pretty much ended. So let's go with, what are we at? 5 straight goods for this storyline in one episode of TV. 2 segments here, the match, the title booking, and the opening segment. It's crazy and amazing how WWE has basically made Io the main character of the show, who the entire main event is rotating around. When I gave my New Year's resolution for WWE, I had high hopes for Io. I never expected this. It's freaking awesome. I love to see it. This storyline remains extremely compelling. If not for Becky on Monday night, Asuka would have been the star of the show. That's how much she stood out. Now, obviously, I need to backtrack on what I said a moment ago about a clean finish to the WrestlePalooza match. It sure seems like we're going to get interference by the Kabuki Warriors one way or another. What's going to be interesting to see is whether this results in Io winning and resenting them, or losing, thus creating the split that we've been expecting. This is obviously a plans change situation either way due to Naomi's pregnancy. And with 2 more weeks to build on Raw, we should get some clarity on it soon ahead of our prediction on our Ultimate Preview. But Chris, this storyline is kicking major ass for me. Ripley getting heated with Asuka like that was sick. Their prior matches have really not delivered. Maybe the third time is a charm. Asuka is doing some of her best character work ever on the main roster. I also want to point out, I love Kyrie's role. She's tertiary to the other two, but she's being integrated in a way. She still has her own misgivings and she still has her own character on the periphery, and that could factor in the future. So yeah, 2 more goods and 5 straight goods on Monday Night Raw for Asuka, Io, Rhea Ripley, Kairi Sane, and everything that's happening here.
Yeah, goods all the way around. And I have seen Rounders.
Did you finally see it? I thought you hadn't seen it.
No, I've seen it, like not in forever, like in college or something like that.
I could have sworn that like 2 years ago on this show, you said I had never seen that movie. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, I'm glad you saw it.
Anyway, have we ever done Rhea versus Asuka before?
Yeah, they had 2 matches, both of which were really disappointed. That's what I was saying a second ago.
But how long ago?
Couple years, 2 years, 3 years. I'll look it up while you're talking.
I have no memory of it. So either way, like it feels like a big deal, like it should. So that's going to be great. This felt like the first time they added in, like you said, the Kairi Sane character aspect of like suddenly she's the friend caught in between.
Mm-hmm.
She had just kind of been hanging around for a while. So that they added to that on top of all the other stuff going on. So this is fantastic. When Io and the Kabuki Warriors are together, like it would be so easy to just either do it all in subtitles or to just only have them speak English and make it a little bit clunky. Instead, we get both. And you can see their personality come out with how they kind of act, but then they'll deliver a line in English just to like keep you going. I thought this whole thing was awesome.
So they fought a handful of times, but as I said, there were two key matches for a title between them. The most notable of which, of course, was WrestleMania 37. And that was when Ripley beat Asuka, and it was like, you know, it was like a B+ match. It wasn't bad. They've never had a
COVID
bad
one.
match together.
The COVID mania.
Yeah, they've never had a bad match, but they didn't have like the match you would expect from, at the time, Asuka, the greatest women's wrestler in WWE. And Rhea Ripley, the greatest prospect.
And she wasn't this Rhea Ripley.
She wasn't this Rhea Ripley. Rhea's gotten a lot, like, Rhea's been good in the ring for a long time. The way she's been working this year, it's clearly the best she's ever been. So I have really high hopes if we get them in a singles match. And I hope that it's more than just like a Raw match, at least a Raw main event at a minimum. But I could see this being a non-title, B tier PLE match. Like, I wouldn't be, I don't think it's going to happen. But if it was Rhea Ripley and Asuka at Crown Jewel in Perth, that would be okay. My guess is it's going to be Io Sky and Rhea Ripley against the Kabuki Warriors on that show.
Could be. But Rhea versus Asuka is a pay-per-view match.
Yeah, I mean, it's a WrestleMania. It's literally a WrestleMania match.
Right. Yeah.
But we've gotten it like 4 times on Raw since, unfortunately. So they've waned it down, but they haven't fought since 2022. So it's been 3 years since they've had a singles match. So that's a significant amount of time. Perez backstage argued to Pierce that she should be in the title match, given she beat Sky one-on-one recently on Raw. Pierce pointed out they literally just lost a match and she took the fall, but he said he would consider giving Roxy a title shot if Io wins the championship. Lyra Valkyria came in, set for an appointment with Pierce. Judgment Day talked shit to her, given what's been happening with Bayley. It got extremely heated between them, but after Pierce shoot off the heels, he told Valkyria, hey, I checked on Bayley, we spoke at length, and while she said some weird things, she's going to be back soon. Lyra was frustrated he didn't do more, insisted on fighting, so she'll be going into the Judgment Day story seemingly as soon as next week. Lyra against Roxy and Raquel in whatever order, that's going to be fresh for the main roster and a welcome development because she's moving away from the Intercontinental title. They're moving away from the women's tag team title because they've lost a couple matches recently. And it also will give her something to do until Bayley gets back. All of that, super important. What really spoke to me, Chris, this was the 6th segment involving the women's division in the first 90 minutes of the show. Way more than the men. And that was before we even got the Becky Lynch of it all, which was the best segment of the entire show, later in the final, I think 45 minutes. Lyra has also, by the way, gotten like half a makeover or something the last couple of weeks. This was another good across the board. The women's division on Raw, I said it last week, the week before, it is being booked better than it has, maybe ever in WWE, but definitely in the last, I want to say, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, not a ton to this, but just continued development of multiple people like interacting with each other. It feels like that lived-in world that we so often want in WWE storytelling, and this is great.
It's insane to me that we got 7 women's segments on this show. 8 if you include Ripley and Punk backstage, but let's say 7. And then we're going to go to SmackDown on Friday, and it's going to be dog shit.
Yeah.
How is it the same company? I just don't understand. So speaking of SmackDown and the women's division, let's kind of get over there. We'll use Drew McIntyre as an entry point. He entered in the middle of SmackDown and just introduced Randy Orton so fans could get their singing out of the way. Drew said Randy being angry about losing at SummerSlam is fine, but if he attacked because he thinks Cody Rhodes is actually his friend, well, he's an idiot. Orton clarified he took out McIntyre because he's a prick, which led to a Glasgow kiss, missed Claymore, and draping DDT. 3 officials came in to prevent further action, only for Orton to hit 3 RKOs, the last of which to Shane Helms. Then Drew avoided the punt kick. Orton commiserated with Nick Aldis backstage. I figured to make the match for Clash in Paris, but neither said anything of importance to the other. For me, this left a lot to be desired. Not that it wasn't decent enough between them, but it ended with me wanting more, thinking this should have been meatier for a segment between the top heel and one of the top baby faces on the brand. This is going to be repetitive, but it was another clear indicator that SmackDown Creative is just bankrupt at this point. I don't know if it's Road Dogg, if it's the roster, I don't know what it is, but this really fell below expectations. Light good, but it should have been a strong no-brainer good.
Yeah, same. Light good, because it felt like just another like pause step on the way to Cody. It didn't feel like Drew Randy when it should. And it made me wonder if Cody's coming back pretty soon and we're just not going to do Drew Randy. Because if you're not,
No, they're going to do
you
it.
know,
Yeah, they have to.
it's just a little bit weird there. So it was light good, but left a lot to be desired for those two.
Yeah, it was almost like the Bechdel test where like, can two women have a conversation in a movie without mentioning a man? But it's like, can McIntyre and Orton have a conversation without mentioning Cody? Or can Orton be involved in a feud without mentioning Cody?
Correct.
Like it seems like everything he's involved in is because of Cody. Kevin Owens, the thing that came before it, I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Okay, fine. The one thing that didn't was the Logan Paul and Jelly Roll thing. To be fair, but
in the Cena thing, but
the Cena thing involves Cody too, right? So his last 3 singles feuds, it feels like at least, have been because of Cody Rhodes, and Orton still hasn't turned heel. We still haven't gotten the Cody Rhodes Randy Orton feud that we desperately want. So yeah, I mean, man, SmackDown's got to pick it up, and let's keep explaining why. Tiffany Stratton was looking at herself in a mirror when Jade Cargill came up asking if she heard the news that she's the number 1 contender because she got the pinfall last week. They argued about the same stuff they have been for 3 weeks, and Cargill laughed about Stratton's undefeated run, basically alluding to her run in AEW without saying it. Her contention is they're nowhere close to being on the same level. I mean, girl, you lost clean to Tiffy at SummerSlam. What else is there to say? She beat you. This remains bad. 0 effort being put into the division. A rematch without a worthwhile reason when the title should have flipped already. Barely getting 2 minutes of TV time most weeks. It just sucks top to bottom.
This sucks bad. There's literally just nothing here.
What are you going to say? I spoke 30 seconds about it. The segment was 2 minutes long. Like, what are we going to talk about? Alexa Bliss fought Chelsea Green. Now, this was supposed to be a women's tag team title match, except Alba Fire, took out Charlotte Flair's knee during her ring walk, preventing the match from taking place. Piper Niven was nowhere to be found, so I'm really not exactly sure what happened here. Clearly, they had to change plans from what was set for the show. Fingers crossed that Piper is okay. As much as the fans liked Chelsea, they were all in for Alexa, cheering literally every offensive strike and natural selection, which commentary keeps missing. Alba's distraction allowed Green to get knees up for Twisted Bliss, but Bliss countered Unpretty Her into Sister Abigail, which was double countered for a roll-up babyface win. Alba hit a super kick after the bell, so Charlotte limped down for the save, but took a clunky Unpretty Her before Bliss ate the gory bomb from Fire. I'll remind you, Alba lost to a rookie on NXT for no reason 72 hours earlier, and now she's hitting Alexa Bliss with a gory bomb. That does not make sense. Both of them worked hard. The match was quality. The crowd was completely fixated on them, all of which results in an easy good. But ending this bout with a roll-up, when again, I will repeat for the 100th time, there are so many other pinning combinations that can be utilized to the same result. It is so ridiculously lazy. Why can WWE not integrate a seatbelt or a crucifix or a jackknife cover, a cradle, a small package? What is truly preventing these matches from ending in slightly more legitimate fashion? It is so frustrating.
Well, that's what we credit Becky Lynch for doing the Lynch pin against Nikki Bella. Like, just something like that. So this was good. Just disappointing. It wasn't what it was supposed to be for reasons we're not sure. I'm glad Alexa Bliss was getting the reaction she was. It worked. It was fine. It was just obviously not quite what it was going to be.
Michin beat Kiana James in 7 seconds. 7. The name of George Costanza's unborn child. Kiana was the only wrestler on the show to literally get 0 reaction for her entrance in front of WWE's best crowd of the year. She had the same stupid clip art style helicopter entrance, which looked like absolute shit. Fans literally chanted for Julia when they got around the ring. Kiana swung her purse, missed, got rolled up. The heels attacked immediately, with Julia hitting the Arrivederci knee before stomping Michin's face into the second stair of the steel steps. There are times and places where you can run a 7-second match and it fits into storyline. It has some type of comedy relevance, whatever the case might be. When you have someone like Michin who doesn't wrestle, and a division like the women's mid-card on SmackDown, which doesn't have real challengers, and you create a match where someone can legitimize themselves as a contender, and you have someone in Kiana James who can start getting over a little bit as a valuable member of the division. That is precisely the wrong time to run a 7-second match ending in a roll-up. This was pathetic. Julia's post-match beatdown, that was better, but it was a shrug. SmackDown's booking team, third time now, is void of any creativity for the women's division. And going with a roll-up here immediately after doing one in the opener only furthered my point about match finishes. This whole women's division on the Blue brand, it's being booked worse than the Raw tag team division, which should be impossible. This was straight up ugly.
This is for crap!
Come on, Oos. It's a joke, right? It's a joke, Oos. You ribbing me?
Bucket zero.
I can't keep saying the same thing over and over. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Like, this complete waste of time, talent, ability, everyone. The Kiana James thing, not her fault, but it continues to be a completely bizarre situation that is not helping her. It's not helping anybody. Like, it's an ugly. I'm giving it an ugly. Like, I can't give this more time than the match did. Like, just absolute waste of time for so much stuff that's going on SmackDown.
That is one big pile of shit.
It's almost like they Giovanni Vinci'd her. Like, is she like? Yeah. How can she recover from that? It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
What is the point? Is especially like rolling up a new, like if you had rolled up Chelsea Green because she was fixing her hair or something,
or arguing with Wade Barrett on commentary, and yeah, right.
Like because she's established and it's funny when she loses. We have zero bar or expectations or feelings about Kiana James other than she talks backstage and now she gets rolled up like that. She must be terrible. Like, where do you go from there?
And you spent 2 weeks building up this match to then not do the match. And now she's number one contender because she rolled up someone who hasn't had a win on this brand in 7 seconds. It devalues the title. It devalues Kiana. It devalues Michin. And it devalues Julia by proxy. We spent too much time on this. Penta and the Viking Raiders fought New Day and Grayson Waller. The heels got massive, and I mean massive heat during a commercial break promo that American fans continue not to see either on TV or social media. It does not make a shred of sense to me when the tag team division is otherwise struggling that they're not putting these guys getting reactions anywhere for fans to see it. Penta's spinning pyro disappeared in lieu of an on-screen graphic, but he still got plenty of fire. Maybe was a one-off. We'll see back when they get stateside. The Raiders had new Raw is War shirts, which I thought, about damn time. Those should sell. Like, people should buy those shirts. Penta splashed all 5 dudes off the ring post before the faces danced together into the break. Penta and Xavier Woods both had hot runs. The former took down the latter with a Mexican destroyer after leaping off Ivar's back for the win. Fun match. Great work from all 6 guys. But this seriously confused me in terms of what's happening with Rey Fenix and Andrade. Because it seemed like they were getting primed to move over to Raw alongside Penta for a 6-man feud. Beyond that, we haven't seen the Raiders on TV in 3 months. There was no fresh storyline reason for them to team up with the faces. Yes, they had feuded with the heels. That's okay. But given they won, there's no reason for Penta to need any extra help going forward. He's got his guys. So is the storyline now over? New Day badly needed a win here, and I'm frankly shocked that they didn't have them pin Eric. The segment worked. It was well done. I'm at a light good because just because I disagree with the booking doesn't mean it was bad. The opposite of the AJ Styles situation, I had no choice. But I really was confused at the decision here.
This was random as hell. Like, I was like, what do we do? And then they win, and I'm like, what was the point of this? Like, just to set up, they're doing the walk with Penta, and Penta gets another win. People like him. Like, New Day continues to be just nothing. They're nothing. And you lose this. Like, a 6-man would have been an opportunity to give them a win. They've been working with Grayson Waller. And so they just lose to 3 random people thrown together at the last minute. Like, I don't care. I'm going to give it a light good because it was entertaining. But in terms of story, we're dead here.
Yeah, I don't even want to say dead because, like, I like what they're doing with New Day. And let me actually bring that into the next thing I was going to say. Because New Day getting relegated to the commercial breaks and hidden from the American audience later during Raw, they got a second segment also during a break. a fully produced funeral video package for the tag team division. This was only 3 minutes. They posted a 13-minute video. Seriously, 13 minutes on YouTube. We shared it on social media so you can jump to it. Their contention was the titles are being hidden away in the dirty Judgment Day clubhouse. They should be in the sun around the waist of the greatest tag team of all time. Their goal is to save and reestablish the entire division in their name. This was extremely well done. And they hysterically used the same funeral home as TNA. I think WWE also did the Rollins-McIntyre segment in the same funeral home last year. This was something that at least it got posted to social media. And because of that, and it was referenced on TV, I'm going to give it a good. But they're doing actual great work. WWE botched the heel turn initially. They finally figured it out, but none of it's happening on television. So I actually believe that this division is running well and good things are happening, but we got to see it. The people need to see it on TV, on Netflix.
Yeah, you sent this to me and I watched the whole thing, and like the effort is definitely there. I didn't particularly care because I don't care about the New Day right now. I don't take them seriously. They're just kind of going in circles. They are working hard.
They are
to try to make something out of this, to try to get on television, to get attention on them, and I do credit them for that.
Rusev's follow-up from Clash in Paris was another promo package saying he's not a bully like Sheamus, but a beacon, an example for kids all over the world that it's impossible to be good when you're destined to be great. Not kind, but one of a kind. Unstoppable. Rusev said Sheamus may be Irish, but he acted like he was French by giving up. Loved that. And he hoped they could be friends again now that Sheamus knows he's beneath him. He's no longer held back. He's free. Good promo. Exactly what he needed to say. Not sure how much Rusev speaking resonates at the end of the day, but I really liked everything he said content-wise, building his character.
Dude, there were so many bars in this.
It was great.
Like, you just listed 2 of them right there, but every line he delivers is like gold. You just said it, but like, I am a lesson to kids all over the world that it is impossible to be good when you're destined to be great. And then maybe we can be friends again now that you know your place is beneath my feet. Like, these are like Thanos level lines.
Yeah.
Like, he is killing this and this is exactly what I wanted, because after that match, which you agreed, match of the night.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to see the promo vignette he was going to cut after this, and he completely delivered. I know I'm way higher on Rusev in this stuff than anybody else, but the writing for his promos are incredible. I wish they would put him out in text form, because you just read it and it's bar after bar after bar. I don't know who's doing it, but like, that was unbelievable. He just like not literally buried, but just like, that's an unbelievable set of lines there that if it was from anybody else but Rusev, I feel like we would remember them. Like, if Roman Reigns said this type of stuff, we'd be going nuts over it. Rusev has been delivering, and I'm loving the heck out of it.
Oh, yes! I love that!
Really should have used that for the Becky segment too, but I'm glad that you loved the Rusev so much. Aleister Black got a promo package saying it's time for him to show Damian Priest what hell really looks like. He also said he's the pressure Priest feels in his chest at night. Priest then cut a live promo saying Black appears educated, but his threats of violence are empty, and he would be happy to teach him about pain. Then he tossed a commentary, which was actually kind of fun. Good enough 1-2 punch from them. There's full faith and effort being made into making this feud into something. It does feel like they're just falling a little bit short, especially with R-Truth involved and not involved back and forth. The only time we saw Truth on SmackDown was in a brief backstage product placement. So this is all really weird to me, but it's getting a light good though.
I'll give it a light good, but I compare Rusev and Aleister Black come back at the same time, and you think about the character development that has been done for Rusev compared to Aleister Black, and you would have never thought that was the case. But Rusev, whatever you think of him, he's got a character. He thinks incredibly highly of himself, and he wants to beat the crap out of people, and he just did it to Sheamus. Aleister Black has come back and done what?
Yeah.
Like
and it's funny too, because I was all in with Black returning and not Rusev. And I'm still more excited when I see Black on my TV than when I see Rusev. No question about it.
You have to back up the talk.
Yeah.
Like, Rusev just did that.
Well,
Aleister Black is so much talk, and all he does is give a kick to Miz, and like, that's it.
Well, that was the thing. Black was wrestling weekly, and I was like, oh, this is great the way they're using him. And then Rusev would show up, and it would be really, really boring. But literally over the last 2 weeks, it's flipped. It's unbelievable. Now Rusev is compelling, and Black's just kind of there. So we'll see if they can figure out both of them. But Vintage, we just covered a ton of stuff in WWE, and now we actually get to take a breath. No premium live events, no TV specials, nothing. So we will be back speaking about WWE next Tuesday in this space right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. That's assuming, of course, they don't decide to break some news at some point over the next 48 hours. And we have to lead off our Thursday show talking WWE as we have the last couple of weeks. Don't usually mind that because more people listen when we do that, even though there are fans, of course, of NXT and AEW, but WWE is, of course, the straw that stirs the drink. So we appreciate you guys listening to us break down WWE Clash in Paris, instant analysis style now, breaking down everything that happened across the last week in WWE. As mentioned, we will be back Thursday talking NXT and AEW. And then 1 week from now, same bat time, same bat channel, our next WWE breakdown. And look, I say all this now, depending what happens on SmackDown Friday night, there's a possibility of a bonus show, or maybe when we do the fastest 5 over at buymeacoffee.com/gettingover, we do a fastest 15, go a little bit deeper on that, given what may happen on SmackDown. But let's just put a pin in that. We'll see how the week transpires, how much time Vintage and the Silver King both have. But yeah, loaded month of September. Football is hitting us hard already. WWE, AEW, big shows at the end of the month. There is no pause right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Now, I mentioned buymeacoffee.com/gettingover, so it would be important for you to remember.
I happen to love the number 5.
And I sincerely hope you do as well, because for $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Over head. You get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major TV show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. You also get bonus content every once in a while on top of the rest of the bonus content. We're a free show. We're an ad-free show. This is the way you can support us financially and ensure that we don't throw ads onto this program. You can do all of that at buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. You sign up, you get a lot of extra stuff. We would greatly appreciate the support. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. On the former two, you get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights, all of that good stuff. You can send in questions and comments for the show as well. And we love interacting with all of you on YouTube. Subscribe over there. You get full-length audio episodes and full-length video interviews. Also, please do not forget,
It's all about Defy.
so head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. All right, that's it. A lot of WWE performance-enhancing audio for your ear holes over the last 72 hours. It is time to take a break, rest the vocal cords. So for Vintage Chris Vanini, this is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.